So good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Joining me this morning, our City Council President, Sean Elo Rivera, City Council Member Stephen Whitburn, who represents the community we're in today, in Council District 3. Also with us today are Hafsa Keika, who is the Director of our city's Homelessness Strategies and Solutions Department, as well as James Carter, and maybe some other members of her team will be along shortly. We're here today to announce the latest step forward in our comprehensive strategy to address homelessness in San Diego. Yesterday, Hafsa and her team briefed the City Council on the considerable progress that her department has made since I created it through our 2021 city budget. She shared that the city would be making investments in non-congregate shelter. That means shelter with private rooms for individuals. Today, we are announcing that the city has taken possession of this hotel and transforming it into a non-congregate shelter for seniors experiencing homelessness. There are 34 rooms at this site, and at least 32 of them will provide temporary home to vulnerable seniors in our community. We're going to clean up this place, we're going to furnish the rooms, and we expect to take clients in just a month or two. Now, as long as there are people living on the streets, we will not stop when it comes to expanding and executing our strategy on homelessness. We have made a considerable amount of strides in the past couple of years, and we've made a considerable amount in the last few days and weeks. On September 7th, we announced funding recommendations for Round 2 of Bridge to Home, our program to provide gap financing to affordable housing builders. Rounds 1 and 2 will create 900 new homes, 232 of which will be set aside for people experiencing homelessness. Last Monday, many of you were with me when we joined with the county to open the new 150-bed Rosecrans Shelter in the Midway community with immediate access to behavioral health care. Already 76 homeless individuals have been taken into that shelter. The very next day, we announced the expansion of one of the city's more successful programs, Safe Parking. Previously time limited, it is now available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, making this program more accessible to more people who are living in their vehicles and wanting to get into housing. Many of you recently covered our efforts to transform the old Central Library that is owned by the taxpayers of this city, has been unutilized for many, many years, and will soon have a new life as a shelter during inclement weather. We hope that we will open it later this year. But I want to acknowledge the fact that shelter is merely a stop along the path towards permanent housing. And last week, the City Council approved my recommendation to choose a team to revitalize the sports arena and build thousands of new homes, a majority of which will be affordable to low and middle income San Diego families. I also created the Civic Center Revitalization Committee to help guide our efforts to redevelop our Civic Center core, which will also bring about the opportunity to build thousands of new affordable homes. These landmark projects, combined with my Homes for All of Us initiative, will make sure that we're creating housing that everyday San Diegans can actually afford. Also last week, I joined Governor Gavin Newsom as he signed Care Court into law for California. This will allow us to provide more housing and treatment to folks who struggle with severe mental illness and desperately need intervention. Many of those individuals, unfortunately, call the street the home. Soon, because of Care Court, I believe that will change. Outreach, shelter, housing, healthcare. This is how we end homelessness, one person at a time. And we can't solve this crisis with one outreach event, one shelter opening, or one housing project. It requires a sustained effort, layers upon layers of programs, facilities, and policy reforms. Today's announcement is a part of that, just one part. It builds on the successes that I just mentioned that literally happened over the last 7 to 10 days. We've got more on deck. I look forward to keeping you posted about the progress that we make, but I will not rest until we get the situation under control and that we match the expectations of San Diegans, many of whom are extremely frustrated, as am I. But we can get this done, and it gets done by doing more things like converting this hotel into housing for our seniors who are homeless. With that, I'd like to introduce our City Council President, Sean Elo Rivera. Council President.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Appreciate you having me here this morning. Councilor Whitburn, thank you for being here and for always being open to solutions in your district. We know that there's oftentimes pushback from community when we're trying to find solutions, and I've never seen you waver, and I am deeply appreciative of that. City Council spent 8 hours yesterday in a council meeting specifically dedicated to the issue of homelessness. During the course of that meeting, we heard from a number of seniors who shared their experience of living as a person experiencing homelessness. And they shared a lot of their fears, their trauma, and what has prevented them from taking or sometimes staying in shelter. Some of those stories were very difficult to hear. We heard from a blind senior who quite literally said that because of how unsafe he feels, he'd prefer a jail cell to the situations he's been offered thus far. And we're hearing these stories as we also read data that is telling us that seniors are the fastest growing group of people who are becoming homeless. That should stop everyone in our tracks. These are folks who have a majority of whom have not experienced homelessness until they become seniors. And the rise in prices of everything, especially housing, is pushing more and more of those folks onto the street. The building behind us is definitely more than just a building, and the rooms are more than just rooms. They are an opportunity, each of them represent an opportunity for folks to regain their dignity, their health, and find themselves on a path to permanent housing. I'll quickly share why Non-Congregate Shelter is so important to me. I've shared several times before my experience 11 years ago here in San Diego of living in my car for about 5 weeks, and a combination of pride and fear kept me out of the shelter system. And that experience of living in my car was exhausting. And on the brink of kind of breaking from that exhaustion, a friend of mine helped me get a hotel room for a night. And I will never, ever forget the feeling of opening that door and seeing that bed and knowing that at least for one night, I would have a room of my own and a bed of my own. These rooms are going to offer that to the seniors who so very much need them. And so I am really, really appreciative of the mayor, of Hafsa and her team for expanding non-congregate shelter as an option. I think that as we do that, we are going to see more and more people who are on the streets opt into shelter. And when they opt into shelter, they're going to find themselves on a path to permanent housing. As the mayor said, there's no silver bullet. There's no single solution to homelessness. But piece by piece, bit by bit, we do know we can make progress. We know we are making progress. And if we can prevent homelessness from happening with the actions that we are taking to address homelessness and house people, we can do this. We can solve homelessness in San Diego. So thank you again to the mayor for your commitment to this issue. Thank you, Councilmember Whitburn, for your commitment to this issue. I know folks are frustrated, but we're doing hard work. We're committed to it, and we're not going to stop until we see a significant improvement on our streets, and every San Diegan has a place that they can call home. With that, I will bring up my friend and colleague, Councilmember Whitburn.
Good morning. I'm Stephen Whitburn. I have the honor of representing this district, District 3, on the City Council. I want to thank our Council President, Elo Rivera, for scheduling an entire day of hearings on homelessness at yesterday's council meeting. It was valuable and informative. And I thank the mayor and his team for the leadership and resources that they have brought to this issue. Every week lately, there has been an announcement of a new shelter or new affordable housing units or new programs or another new step to address homelessness in San Diego. And here we are again today, preparing to open yet another new shelter so that people experiencing homelessness can come off the streets. There may be different perspectives on how to address homelessness, but I can assure you of one thing. Everyone can agree on the importance of providing shelter for our senior citizens and providing seniors with a shelter that gives them their own space, like the venue that we have here today. And what a great location, so that these seniors can live in dignity across the street from Waterfront Park and with a trolley stop just 1 block away. We need to keep adding shelter and housing as quickly as we can, because more people are becoming homeless due to the high cost of housing. I see the even bigger homelessness challenges that they have in Los Angeles, and in San Francisco and even in Sacramento. And I am determined to get people experiencing homelessness in San Diego off the sidewalks and into shelter and housing as quickly as we can. San Diego is a wonderful home, and we are working to make sure that there is a home for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. Just to reiterate, the city has taken possession of this hotel. We will spend the next couple of weeks getting it prepared, working to identify a partner to be able to run it on our behalf and open it up for seniors who are currently unsheltered within the next month or two. This is not fast enough for my liking. I'm an impatient person by nature, but this is the level of attention and detail that we're bringing to this issue to make sure that there are more opportunities like this, like the Midway shelter that we opened last week, like the safe parking lots that we expanded last week, and that we have more on deck. Hafsa, James, and their team will have more announcements of this kind in the coming weeks ahead. And so I encourage you to stay tuned and help us amplify those investments, that progress, the expansion of services and housing. I'll conclude by expressing my appreciation to the council member. Stephen Whitburn has been a wonderful partner on this issue. When I was on the city council, we would constantly see votes of the city council split when it came to identifying shelters in people's districts. Council members often would say no to shelters or affordable housing complexes in their own communities for a variety of reasons, often motivated by fear. Stephen has leaned in on this issue. This is not the first project that we've built in the short time that he and I both have served in our respective roles. It won't be the last one. And his willingness to engage on this issue is meaningful and it makes a difference. And Council President Elo Rivera, from his lived experience, as you heard him describe a moment ago, brings a passion to this issue that's refreshing and frankly makes a lot of this progress possible. He particularly has championed the idea of a non-congregate shelter option, more non-congregate shelter options. I'll point out this is our second. First one we did was down on Palm Avenue, down in South San Diego a few months ago. Is already sheltering dozens of families and many folks who have been able to graduate out of that program and into permanent housing. Every bit counts, every bit helps. Every person that gets off the streets is progress towards our ultimate goal, which is to significantly reducing the number of homeless in our community. That work is always present. People will always fall into poverty, bad luck, job loss, mental illness, substance use. Whatever the reason, whatever the path they get there, we will find a way to get them off the streets. And that work will continue. And I hope that other cities in this county will join us in this effort. I hope that other states will join us in this effort. It's not a San Diego issue. Every city is dealing with this. What I hope is what they see in San Diego is a path forward with ideas and initiatives that can be replicated in their communities. This is an American problem. We need to have American solutions for it, and I appreciate you guys being here to let me elevate these issues. Look forward to some move-ins here very soon. A lot of happy seniors getting off our sidewalks and into housing on their path to permanent housing. Thank you all for being here today. We're happy to do one-on-ones afterwards. Thank you, guys.